the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walton, joined by Sergeant Walton. Clint, how are you?
I'm really good, but I have to say this really quick. This is episode 1000. That is absolutely phenomenal. Not only for us, but for everyone listening in on this. Like, we appreciate you and thank you so much.
Aw, thank you, baby. Yeah, it's pretty wild, and I'm thankful every single day to get the opportunity to just sit here on the mic, and how many people are waiting in the bank to be able to come onto our show. We're booked out always for about 6 months or so from guests that want to come on and be interviewed. And so it's such a cool thing. So thank you for pointing that out. I wanted to talk about how a lot of people think that we can catch up on our sleep. And, Clint, your schedule is like the biggest thing that I complain to people about in my life right now, because it's cramping my style.
I feel the same way.
And a lot of people think that a big one, right? Because I remember working in an office and thinking like I could just sleep more on the weekends and catch up on my sleep. But scientifically, it's proven that that's actually not the case at all. And there is no catching up on your sleep. The whole thing is making sure that you're regulating your sleep. Regulating mean on a regular basis, you have proper sleep. And so I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit, because this is something that, regardless of what you do for work, a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at my week moving forward right now, and my schedule is going to be very jacked up this week, and I'm like, man, I'm just going to get a lack of sleep. And I think one thing I've prioritized my sleep for, like, people at work don't always do this for themselves, but like I tell them, like, my sleep is very important, and I don't care what's going on. Like, my phone's going to be on Do Not Disturb, and I'm not going to hear anything until I'm awake and I've had at least one cup of coffee.
Yeah, and you need that. And so it makes me feel so bad, because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like he didn't sleep at all. And then I do the math and I'm like, he slept way more than I did. And that's usually the case. And I think it's important just to understand, though, what is actually happening when our sleep cycle is disturbed. We have something called our circadian rhythm. And typically this is like primal, where the sun goes down and the sun comes up. And we have a natural instinct built into us, where chemicals will be altered and will allow us to fall asleep and to naturally wake up when we do. And so think of it as a built-in, they call it like a biological clock, right? Like that is the true biological clock. And so when your shift work is interfering with that, you have your sleep cycles disturbed, of course, and you're also trying to continuously trick and re-trick. And so for Clint, he is on a really shitty schedule right now. And so he's opposite of what primally his body wants to do. And what that means is that it's going to require a significantly increased amount of effort in order to be able to try to regulate things, so much to the extent that you're not causing stressors on your body. And this might sound silly, but something that we've noticed is by incorporating electrolytes into our diet on a regular basis, it has changed. And if you're not familiar, you can actually get electrolytes in a tablet form. And, sometimes it's not always practical to have a powder and have to mix shit. And so there's an option for that. But staying hydrated is very important to your sleep.
Yeah, and people, and I can hear the argument of, well, I don't want to have to get up and pee.
Don't drink it before you.
Yeah, exactly. and actually, electrolytes help you retain that water a lot more, to where you're reducing the amount that you're having to pee, or to where it would interrupt your sleep. Like for me, like during my work days, I'm sleeping during the day, and then it's not like I'm getting the hours in, but it's not as good sleep as you typically would be getting like during the night, or it's because your schedule just gets impacted, and it's different. But at the same time, you want to get the most out of your sleep every time that you sleep. And that's why, like Ashley and I both talked about this numerous times, of having the Oura Ring, being able to track things like that and analyze, okay, how can I address my sleep, and the Aura app will ask you, did you take a hot shower before bed or a cold shower? It looks like you got good sleep last night. So what was different that
Mine's
you
never
did?
asked me that.
Oh, mine yesterday was the first time I actually noticed it, and that's why this is the perfect topic for it. Is it asked, like, it looks like your sleep was really good last night, and so what did you do different to be able to track that so you can monitor it to see if it had an impact on it?
I think, too, something else that you might have seen is when someone's like, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
That is something that I hear regularly, and you don't, you know, you want to prioritize it. And we have our friends, he jokes at me all the time saying, oh, you're just old. You have to be, do you have to be in bed by 8 o'clock because otherwise you'll turn into a pumpkin, and princess has to get home to sleep. And like, I don't care if he jokes like that to me all the time, because I'm like, yeah, I do, and I'm going to.
Something else that you talked about at the beginning of this episode was how, and you didn't mean to say it this way, but I'm going to reframe it. But sleep deprivation can sometimes create this sort of silent competition, especially within your department. And for some people, they have a lot of guilt when it comes to sleeping, while other people are working overtime. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It does make a competition between others. I hear it regularly. I was like, oh, yeah, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night, or 2 hours. And then you hear someone trying to one up, well, I had court, I only got 1 hour. And you see everybody trying to one up each other on it. And instead of saying, yeah, I got a good 8.5 hours, I'm good. Like, you don't hear that argument. It's everyone's competing to see, okay, who had it worse.
We have prioritized our sleep. I think I've always prioritized my sleep, like my whole entire life, because I realized really young that my natural circadian rhythm is like, I should be living on the East Coast. Waking up at 3 or 4 a.m., that's my time to shine, right? Clint takes a little bit for him to wake up and to start functioning like a human. But for me, I know that waking up early and then going to bed very early is what works best for me. And so I've always prioritized that. That means, not being the fun one, going out and doing things late at night when everybody else is. And also having a hard boundary around that to make sure that I am being able to prioritize my sleep. And I've told you so many times throughout our marriage that there is nothing worth sacrificing my sleep over. I don't care what show is on. I don't care what birthday party it is. Like, my sleep is a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. And it should be. And because our own well-being, our own health it's very important, and it revolves around sleep. Like, I was working with a guy last night. He's talking about getting a new bed, and he doesn't want to spend so much money, but he thinks he should. And my other partner, he said to him, he goes, well, you spend apart from being at work, you spend more time in bed than you do actually, it's important. It's a good investment to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We have some contributing factors when it comes to making sure that, sleep is as optimal as possible, especially for you, like blackout curtains. We have what are the crickets called?
The noise machine.
White noise machine. Mm-hmm. Really nice sheets, really nice blankets. We have a extra air conditioner, swamp cooler. We have an extra air conditioner inside of the window. There are things that we have to make sure that sleep is as optimal as possible. And yes, those are some of the smartest investments that you can make, because the truth is you have so much damage in your brain and in your body from chronic sleep loss. And people don't always understand, are you gaining weight? Well, how's your sleep? Are you at risk for heart disease or diabetes? Does your memory suck right now? Are you having mood instability? There is actually studies that you can look up that show a link between poor sleep and PTSD symptoms even.
And that's one thing, I wish more people would prioritize sleep more instead of, especially with, and you see this regularly, the mindless scrolling before you go to bed, or the mindless scrolling, staying up an extra hour or two, just because you're trying to get into that tired state when you're actually working against yourself with it.
Yeah. And for me, for the past year and a half or so, I have been, I've had a more difficult time staying on my sleep regulation cycle because of work being edited a little bit. I've started to work with a lot of people who are in other countries. And so when I'm going to bed, they're waking up. And so that's extended my sleep time by like an hour and a half or so. And so that I can see it on my Aura ring. It will tell you your readiness. And I never experienced this before. You know, we've had our Auras now for probably 7 years, I want to say, whenever Aura first came out. And I mean, this is like our 5th one by now, but, and so, I can see it, you know, biologically, I can see the changes in that really subtle adjustment in my sleeping schedule. And so that's all to say how important it is to make sure that you're doing your best to be able to pay attention to those kinds of things. And why not use tech to be able to support those goals? I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below. And as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.